Danger is rising in Chicago, and the city can feel it before the first bullet even flies. Something is shifting in the shadows, something sharp, fast, and headed straight for Tommy Egan. Episode 4 isn't just another step forward. It's the moment everything starts to crack. The streets are colder tonight, colder than usual, and it's not because of the weather. It's because every crew in Chicago can sense the shift. Money is moving faster, threats are growing louder, and people who were quiet are suddenly ready to speak. Episode 4 begins with that same heavy air, the kind that warns you a storm is coming but doesn't tell you where it will hit first. Tommy knows this feeling better than anyone. He's walked through too many fires to miss the smell of one rising behind him. The city is full of whispers now, and most of them have his name in them. Some whispered with fear, others with hate, and a few with envy, but all of them carry weight. Tommy has been building his own lane, pushing harder, taking risks that the old him might have backed away from. But Chicago isn't New York. Power here isn't handed over. It's taken from someone else's hands, usually still warm. And in episode 4, those hands start reaching for Tommy whether he's ready or not. This is a moment where everything around him starts tightening the walls, the alliances, the lies. People who stood beside him are now caught between what they owe him and what they fear losing. People who hated him are suddenly seeing an opening. And people who were invisible just days ago are coming into focus with dangerous intentions. The tension grows with every move he makes. Every deal he tries to close feels like it has a timer ticking somewhere in the background. Every meeting carries a new kind of silence, a silence that asks, who's going to flip first? Even his enemies are becoming harder to read, shifting their plans, pulling strings Tommy hasn't seen before. And for once, the game isn't just about outsmarting the next man, it's about staying ahead of something unseen. A threat without a face, without a name, but with a plan that's already in motion. While all this builds, the city keeps moving around him, unaware of how close it is to breaking. But Tommy feels it. He feels the ground shaking beneath him before anyone else does. Episode 4 becomes the moment he realizes that the danger isn't just coming from the streets, it's coming from inside the connections he trusted. Something is breaking apart, and once it finally snaps, there won't be any turning back. This is the pressure point, the moment where survival means thinking faster, moving sharper, and trusting almost no one. Because in Chicago, the ones who smile at you today might be the ones aiming at you tomorrow. And as episode 4 begins, Tommy can tell that tomorrow is closer than ever. There comes a point in every war where the enemy stops looking like an outsider and starts looking like someone standing right next to you. Episode 4 steps straight into that bitter truth. The danger doesn't just come from the streets or rival crews anymore. It comes from the small cracks forming inside Tommy's own circle. Cracks that were easy to ignore at first, small lies, missed calls, strange moves, but now those cracks are spreading like fire on dry wood. And the worst part? Tommy can feel it happening, but he can't see where it started. Chicago is a city built on loyalty, but it's also a place where loyalty is only as strong as the person who's offering it. And right now, loyalty is starting to fade. Tommy has always trusted action more than words. But in this episode, even actions start to look twisted. People who should be standing firm beside him seem to be moving with hesitation, carrying secrets they can't explain. The energy around him shifts. He can tell when a room feels off, when someone is hiding something behind their eyes. And episode 4 is full of those moments that hit heavier than bullets. Moments where silence says more than anything spoken out loud. The streets whisper of new deals being made without Tommy's name on them. Alliances he thought were locked tight begin making room for doubt. And the worst kind of betrayal is the kind that doesn't come loud and clear, it comes quiet. Wrapped in good intentions, delivered by the last person you expect, Chicago has a way of turning men into mirrors, reflecting back every choice they tried to bury. And Tommy is forced to look at the reflection of people he once believed in. Some are slipping away because they're scared of the fire Tommy is dragging into the city. Others are drifting because the promise of power somewhere else feels easier than the path Tommy is carving. And then there are the ones pretending nothing has changed, smiling the same, talking the same, while hiding a knife behind their back, waiting for the perfect moment. Episode 4 builds this tension slowly, making every interaction feel heavier, sharper, more dangerous. Tommy is a man who has survived too much to ignore the signs. But even he knows that when betrayal starts, it never stops at one person, it spreads. The new threat moving in the shadows of Chicago only makes things worse. Someone is stirring up trouble in a way that feels planned, calculated, designed to push Tommy's people apart. Someone who understands how to break an empire by hitting the foundation rather than the top. Tommy senses that the pressure around him isn't coming from chance, it's coming from a strategy. Someone is guiding the chaos, pulling strings, and turning his crew into a battlefield without firing a single shot. That kind of enemy is dangerous. That kind of enemy is patient. And that kind of enemy knows exactly where to strike next. Every step Tommy takes in episode 4 feels like walking through a maze where every path looks right until it's too late. He can feel eyes on him, watching, waiting. He can feel the trust he once relied on slipping like sand through his fingers. And the one question that keeps running through his mind is the one that keeps him up at night. Who's making moves behind his back? Who's the quiet voice that turned into a silent threat? Who is pulling away from him while pretending to stand close? As the tension tightens, one thing becomes clear: episode 4 isn't just building toward a fight. It's building toward a reveal. A truth that will hit harder than any ambush. A truth that will force Tommy to see his world differently, to question the loyalties he built, and to prepare for a betrayal that will change everything. In Chicago, danger always comes with a face. But the deadliest danger is the one still hiding in the dark. Every city has its ghost figures who move quietly, leave no trace, and strike only when the moment is perfect. In episode 4, Chicago's newest ghost steps out of the shadows, not with noise or chaos, but with precision. This isn't someone looking for attention. This is someone looking for control. The kind of person who studies every move from a distance, gathering information the way others gather money. And now they've chosen their target, Tommy Egan. You can feel this presence before you see it. Episode 4 builds this tension slowly, letting the audience sense the shift before Tommy does. A strange call that ends too fast. An unknown car circling the block a little too many times. A crew member mentioning a name that no one recognizes. It all feels random at first, like unrelated pieces scattered across the board. But soon the pieces start to fit together, forming a shape sharp, dangerous, and patient. This unknown force isn't here to make noise. They're here to unsettle everything, to study everything, to understand every weakness before striking. And the way they move makes one thing clear. They're not afraid of Tommy, they're preparing for him, while Tommy deals with tension inside his circle. This new enemy begins working on the outside, slowly tightening the world around him. They don't come at him head-on. They don't challenge his territory openly. Instead, they move the way a hunter moves, testing the ground, setting traps, laying out paths that will eventually lead Tommy exactly where they want him. Episode 4 shows this enemy making quiet moves, a crew losing product without a trace, a loyal contact suddenly refusing to answer calls, money disappearing without anyone realizing when it happened. Each hit is small on its own, but together, they create a wave of pressure that Tommy can't ignore. But here's the twist: this threat isn't just tactical. It's personal. Whoever this person is, they know enough about Tommy's past to predict his reactions. They know his strength is his fearlessness, but they also know his weakness is his loyalty to the few people he trusts. And episode 4 makes it clear. This enemy intends to use both. They're not looking to destroy Tommy from the outside. They're looking to corner him emotionally, mentally, and then strategically. This is a chess game, and for once, Tommy isn't the one starting the play. Chicago itself becomes part of the danger. Streets that used to feel familiar start feeling hostile. People who once nodded out of respect now look away with uncertainty. Even the iconic spots, warehouses, blocks, backrooms carry a different kind of energy, as if the entire city is holding its breath. And with every step Tommy takes, he can feel it. Someone is watching him. Someone is tracking patterns. Someone is preparing for something bigger than a street fight. Episode 4 turns the tension into a slow burn, a feeling that something huge is about to flip. And Tommy, for the first time in a long time, realizes he's not just dealing with a rival, he's dealing with a strategist. Someone who wants power but doesn't want the spotlight. Someone who understands the streets but operates above them. Someone who doesn't need an army to make an impact, they only need the right pressure points. And as this section of the story unfolds, one thing becomes crystal clear. This new threat isn't just another enemy. They are the kind of problem that forces a man like Tommy to think differently, move differently, and question everything he's built. Because this time, the danger isn't coming from guns or crews, it's coming from intelligence. And intelligence mixed with ambition is the deadliest weapon in the city. By the end of episode 4, the shadow of this threat grows so heavy that even Tommy can't deny it anymore. Someone has entered his world quietly, and they're not leaving until the throne of Chicago shifts. The only question is, will Tommy see their face before they strike? Or will this be the one enemy he never sees coming? There's a moment in every battle where tension stops building and finally breaks open. Episode 4 reaches that moment with the weight of everything that's been simmering, betrayal creeping through the crew. Unseen enemies tightening the circle, and Tommy standing in the center of a storm he didn't start, but now has no choice but to finish. Chicago has felt unstable for days, like a city holding back pressure in its concrete bones. But now, in this episode, the cracks spread too far. Something snaps. And when it does, the whole city feels the shock. Everything that Tommy has been sensing, every strange move, every uneasy silence, every shift in loyalty comes crashing together like puzzle pieces locking into place all at once. Episode 4 doesn't ease into the chaos. It hits all at once. The city wakes up tense, the streets feel wired, and the air carries that electric charge people feel before something violent happens. Tommy has been through war after war, but even he can tell this one feels different. This isn't just street politics anymore. This is strategy. This is pressure from all angles. This is someone turning his entire world into a trap. What makes it worse is that Tommy can't tell where the next hit will come from. One moment, he's dealing with a crew member acting off, saying half-truths they can't back up. The next moment, he's hearing about a block he just secured suddenly turning cold, with everyone too scared or too confused to explain why. Things that used to be simple deliveries, meetings, collections begin to fall apart in strange, quiet ways. Episode 4 makes everything feel like it's tilting. Like someone is pulling the rug from under him, but doing it slow enough for him to feel every inch of the fall. And then the real blow lands not with gunfire, but with a realization. The enemy hiding in the shadows isn't just after power. They're after disruption. They want Tommy distracted. They want him doubting. They want him second-guessing the people he relies on. Episode 4 pushes him into a corner where he must question every voice around him. Every move being made, even the motives of those he once considered solid. It's the kind of psychological attack most crews don't expect. And the worst part is that it works. Tommy feels the pull, anger, suspicion, frustration building inside him like a fuse burning down fast. But here's the thing about Tommy Egan. Pressure doesn't break him. It sharpens him. And episode 4 lets that transformation show. The moment the city ignites, he stops waiting for clues. He stops searching for answers. He starts moving. The fire inside him wakes up loud, raw, and unfiltered. He's done reacting. Now he's hunting. And the shift is powerful. You can feel the energy change as he steps into the chaos with purpose, ready to strike at the heart of whoever stepped into his world thinking they could play him. Chicago itself becomes part of the battle. Sirens, fast cars, dark alleys, backrooms full of nervous faces, all of it folds into one explosive chain of events. Episode 4 brings heat in a way that feels earned, like everything was building toward this eruption. Deals crumble. Trust fractures. Shots ring out in moments that hit unexpectedly. Moves get made that are impossible to take back. And through it all, Tommy pushes forward with a clarity that only comes when a man realizes he has nothing left to lose but everything left to protect. By the time the episode hits its final moments, the city feels transformed. Smoke, tension, and unanswered questions hang in the air. Tommy stands in the center of it all, not broken, not defeated, but awakened. The shadow enemy has shown their hand, even if their face is still hidden. The betrayal inside the crew has deepened, forcing lines to be drawn. And the power structure of Chicago. It just shifted, and it shifted fast. Episode 4 ends not with calm, but with a promise. The war has officially begun. And Tommy Egan is stepping into it with the kind of fire that makes everyone friend, foe, and ghost in the shadows take a step back. Because once the city ignites, there's no putting it out. Not until someone wins. Or someone falls. There's something deadly about a city when it finally chooses sides. Episode 5 steps into that moment where Chicago stops pretending to be neutral and starts revealing exactly who stands where. Power doesn't flow quietly anymore, it drags people with it. Every corner, every crew, every block begins to shift, choosing survival over loyalty, money over history, and fear over pride. And in the middle of this shifting ground, Tommy finds himself fighting not just for territory, but for clarity. Because now the streets are speaking loudly. And every message is a warning. The tension in Chicago has never been simple. But in this episode, it becomes something sharper, something more dangerous. Crews that were once predictable suddenly turn unpredictable. People who always followed the rules of the street begin breaking them, trading information for protection, switching sides in the shadows, and cutting deals that no one sees coming. Episode 5 shows the streets like a living thing ready to twist, ready to bite, ready to swallow anyone who hesitates. And Tommy isn't just watching this happen. He's in the center of its movement, forced to navigate a landscape that changes with every step he takes. The cracks that formed earlier now grow into full-blown divides. The quiet arguments behind closed doors become open disagreements. Partners who used to talk things through now raise their voices. Meetings that once ended with agreements now end with threats disguised as suggestions. And through all this, Tommy sees the truth. The streets aren't choosing him or against him, they're choosing whoever looks like they can survive the longest. Power makes people bold, but chaos makes them reckless. Episode 5 captures that recklessness perfectly, turning every conversation into a possible trap. Every handshake into a question mark. Tommy has always believed in controlling his own path, in forcing the city to bend to his will. But this time, Chicago pushes back. Streets he once dominated show signs of resistance. Corners he claimed start showing unfamiliar faces. Even the people who once feared him begin carrying themselves with a new kind of confidence that comes from knowing someone bigger, smarter, or more dangerous is making moves in the background. And this enemy, this quiet strategist pulling strings from the shadows, is becoming the ghost everyone is whispering about. Someone is uniting pieces of the city in a way Tommy can't ignore. Episode 5 dives deep into the political side of street life, the backroom deals, the hidden alliances, the secret conversations happening in dim-lit basements and late-night restaurants. Tommy starts to see patterns forming, like a map revealing itself slowly. Certain crews move in sync. Certain leaders echo the same warnings. Certain people show up in places they normally wouldn't. This isn't coincidence. This is organization. Someone is building a network, one string at a time. And they're doing it quietly enough that most people don't even realize they're being pulled. Tommy feels the pressure of this shift. But he also feels something stronger rising inside him, determination. He's been underestimated before, and every time someone thought they could outsmart him, they forgot one thing. Tommy doesn't quit, and he doesn't run. Episode 5 shows him sharpening, not breaking. He begins studying the city the same way the unseen enemy studies him. He pays attention to every detail, every lie, every slip-up his people make. And slowly, he starts to see the truth. The war isn't just about territory. It's about influence, control, fear, Whoever wins won't win by bullets alone, they'll win by shaping how the city thinks. As the episode builds, the energy becomes explosive. Conversations turn into arguments. Arguments turn into confrontations. Crews begin pulling their people off the streets. Others prepare for the kind of chaos that only ends one way. The streets draw their lines that can't be erased. Lines that decide who stands with Tommy and who silently plans to stand against him. By the end of Section 5, Chicago feels like a pot that's seconds away from boiling over. Everyone is watching everyone. Everyone is waiting for the first move. And Tommy, finally seeing the full picture, realizes something that changes everything. This war won't be won by the loudest voice or the biggest crew. It will be won by whoever understands the streets deeply enough to make them bend. And now, for the first time, Tommy knows exactly where he needs to strike.